So this is probably one of my favorite modifications. Um, Hydroboost. This thing has four-wheel disc brakes on it. When I did the 14-bolt conversion in the rear, it just made sense to put discs on the back. I already have them on the front. It is a C20, so four-wheel discs are not as common on the C20 or as common of a conversion from what I can tell. Um, So I had a vacuum pump on this because I've only got about 7-8 inches of vacuum at idle with the cam that's in this motor. Um, it had a large 12-inch booster with a vacuum pump with a storage can as well. Um, it just wasn't enough. I mean, the brakes just stunk. This thing would not stop. Um, and it was worse once I put the discs on the back, of course, because of the line pressure that you need. I finally bit the bullet and I bought this. I got it from CPP, um, but it's a Bosch unit. Really, all CPP does, I think, is make the plate for it. It came with the braided line kit. It came with it did come with a master. It was aluminum. I was going to use it. I went to bleed it, and there was just crap coming out of the piston when I was bleeding it, and I wasn't happy with it. I probably should have just taken it back to CPP, but I didn't feel like driving all the way back over there. And I had a brand new cast iron master cylinder, four-wheel disc brakes, already in a box. So I just put this master on it, which is I've been very happy with. A little bit of modifications. I had to make a couple new brake lines to get the proportioning valve lined up with the brake lines because it's on the bottom, and the one that I had with my old master and the old booster was on the side, so I had to make those modifications. I was kind of fortunate that I had decided to put my power steering reservoir where it is, because it was already where it is with my vacuum booster. It was just a convenient place to put it. So plumbing this was actually relatively easy. So they tell you that it's preferred to have its own return to the reservoir for just the Hydroboost, because if you share the return, like I have done, the return for the pedal can be a little bit slow. I decided I'd roll the dice and I'd tee it in because I already had my return here. I already had a filter and a return here. All I had to do was kind of change the plumbing a little bit and teed it in with some AN fittings. Let's see if I can't get in there a little bit so you can see what I've got going on. I kind of had to angle it down. If you're 67 through 72 guy, this plumbing will work for you. I did a couple of 45s. You can see it down there. And I just teed it in, and I figured if it didn't work, I would drill a hole in the reservoir and tap it with a 3/8 NPT or something, and I could have added another fitting to the reservoir. It wasn't a problem. I don't notice any lag from the pedal coming back, so I just left it teed in there. So you have your return line that comes out of the unit. So the unit's got three fittings: pressure in, pressure out, and return. So on this unit, my pressure in is down here on the bottom, comes up, pressure comes in here. This is an accumulator that's built into the unit. Then the pressure comes out. This is how they tell you to do it. It comes out and it goes down to the power steering box. So the power steering gearbox gets the pressure afterwards. And then in my case, I have a cooler on this thing too that's down on the cross member, on the front of the cross member. That bolt down there, that bolt nut that you see there, that's where, on the other side of that is where my cooler is. Definitely recommend putting a cooler on it because the fluid gets really hot and it starts to foam. And then it comes back up the original return from the cooler. So the return goes out of the box, into the cooler, back up to the reservoir. And it gives you a little bit more volume too, having the cooler in there, so more volume of oil is good. I'm pretty happy with this unit. It works really well. I mean, the line pressures, they say you get about 1200, 1300 psi line pressure. This thing with the wide tires on it and everything, it stops better than my modern truck. I'm not kidding. It doesn't I could lock them up if I wanted to, but I mean, it really just it really just stops. I'm so happy with this. I would never go with anything else. I don't think with a 4-wheel disc setup. It just wasn't. It just was no good, you know. And I had the vacuum pump on there, and it was noisy. It was a vane pump, and it was still noisy. Good CVR pump. Um, you know, I spent a lot of money making the vacuum system work, and I just put this in, and it solved all my problems. So the plumbing really worked out well too. I think I was able to route this in here. It's a little bit tight. How the way that I've got this routed, it's a little bit tight where the return line comes through here, but it doesn't interfere with the steering shaft at all. Um, so it's that PTFE tubing that's steel braided that protects it. It's a make your own hose kind of a thing. I think it comes with one end on it, and you have to put the other end on. It's a little bit of a pain, but not too bad. So anyways, that's just a quick video on the Hydroboost setup. Highly recommend it. It's a little pricey. It's about the $700-800 range for the unit, but definitely worth the money.